Call me a liberal snowflake, and many
You're
have.
a liberal snowflake.
But for the life of me, I can't see what a school is doing wrong in allowing a small boy to wear a dress to school if he wants, and how it infringes any other child's rights, as Nigel and Sally Rowe, parents of another boy the same age, are arguing. Females of all ages choose between skirts and trousers. Jesus wore a nightie most of the time. Men of the cloth wear robes, and Scots insist on kilts. This Christian couple planning to sue a Church of England primary school should get over themselves. The school isn't imposing a new ideology. It's moving with the times. It's treating each child as an individual, not as a prisoner of gender. Live and let live. Or as Jesus said, suffer the little children. This couple's attitude strikes me as the antithesis of Christian.
Yep.
I think it's worth seeing what the father actually said.
Children often are experimenting on when they're younger, but they're not able to make those kind of deep, informed decisions. I mean, you're a 6-year-old. It's so young, and I sometimes wonder whether we as a society are beginning to embrace this. But actually, it's not a good thing. It's not a healthy thing.
He seems to me to be making 2 points there, of which one I agree with you when he says it's not a healthy thing at the end, but about the age. I mean, if you look up the figures, I mean, there are kids as young as 3 who are being referred to a clinic for this. How does a kid of 3 know or able to make the decision that actually they're not sure about their sexuality?
I do think that small children can, of their own volition, want to experiment with gender. I don't think it's some agenda that society is kind of putting on them.
But do you think, or do you know that is a thing for life, or do you think is this just it's what little kids do?
Can I just say as well, because you mentioned the clinic, and the referrals have gone up, I think, was it to, a huge amount?
2,000.
In the vast majority of cases, they do not offer any medical treatment for children. In the vast majority. So it's not like these 3-year-olds are rocking up a clinic and being given gender reassignment drugs. It's not happening. They're just being talked to. They're being given a space to explore how they feel. And then in most cases, they're just getting on with their lives. So I think it's important to say that, because I do feel people get hysterical about this and think that we're kind of mass converting kids into transgender
Well, that's what that
identity.
father is implying, isn't it?
Yeah, that's my issue.
He's implying with him, he says the issue is, look, how can a child of this age make this sort of decision?
And I think that stems from a lack of understanding, personally.
Don't you think, Rachel, I completely agree with you. I think well said, so well said. And like I said, as a Christian, I think it's completely anti-Christian the way those parents are behaving. Also, this, if you look at it, I think it's harmless. So what if the kid wants to wear a dress? And actually, we're looking at this in the sort of British cultural context, because in certain parts of the world, young boys do wear loincloths or one-piece dresses. So if this child was being raised somewhere else, it would be normal for him to wear the kind of clothes he wants to wear here.
But
so I don't see what the problem is.
But that's because it's normal there.
But that's the point.
But it's fluid.
But this is...
So therefore, what do we decide is normal?
I don't know. We're
not talking about...
see this as abnormal.
No, but like Afua said, we're not talking about surgery. Surgery is a whole different issue. Clothes, who cares?
Nick, do you think that the parents, Nigel and Sally, are projecting their own prejudice onto their own son who's 6 and is growing up, as Greg has set out, in an era where we accept gender neutrality, we accept intersex, we accept transgender and we have done since the Gender Equality Act of 2010.
I don't like the use of the word prejudice. We've mentioned the parents. Greg, you played us a little bit of Dad. Let's hear a little bit from Sally Rowe.
If you don't accept that this boy is a real girl, then you are deemed transphobic. If you don't say that this boy is a she, or use those things, then you're classed as transphobic, and that's imposed on us and on our children, and it goes totally against what we believe and our values. And we felt like we're being discriminated against. We're not being listened to. We're not being heard about what our beliefs are. So
I do feel that there should be respect for their beliefs. The dad says, we as Christians need to address gender dysphoria with love and compassion, not in the sphere of a primary school environment. And I think we must respect... If that is what... It almost comes back to Afwa's debate, actually. It might not be that that is what is current thought, but they have a right to think that way. And I have to put it to you, I know that you know I keep a comprehensive media library. I have all past editions of The Pledge, and I keep all your columns, which, appropriate for this debate, appear in the Mail on Sunday. And I've seen you write about the fact, and I've heard you say here on The Pledge, that growing up as you did with three fairly rambunctious, boisterous boys, you wanted to be a boy, so you could play cricket and rugby and whatever else you did and be a bloke. So you're arguing against yourself.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm completely arguing consistently.
No, because you could change. No,
I went to school, as I've said on the programme, pretended to everyone I was a boy.
But subsequently you have embraced the fact, and you are a lovely woman with children and yada yada.
That's a completely different issue.
Isn't that what this is about?
It is too young. It is too... Earlier this week, I went to the West End and I saw a show great fun called Kinky Boots. I don't know if any of you watched it.
Yes,
and it absolutely celebrates the fact that men want to dress as women, and I think that's great, fantastic. Yeah. When you reach puberty, 13, 14,
wrong,
something
Nick.
like
You're not looking at the evidence, I'm afraid.
I kind of find for grey hair, it's too young.
But no, you're not looking at the evidence, and, you know, actually, Louis Theroux did a fantastic documentary where he interviewed very, very young children. You sort of think, you can't believe that children as young as 3 really are convinced they are born in the wrong body. But when you see these, you listen to them speak, you realise that's true. And I think where we are here is, what is more important? The feelings and the mental health of a 6-year-old boy who's very confused about his identity, or the feelings of a couple who've got 2 children in the same school.
Yet again is ignored.
I think the school is right to favoritise, if that's the right word, the child over these parents. And I hope the school wins its case.
Why is the role of faith continually diminished in this country? Bakers making cakes because they have a certain belief.
There is no biblical teaching that says boys have to wear trousers and girls have to wear skirts.
Jesus wore a dress, as you say.
They see it as part of their faith. Why does that have to be derided and diminished?
I'm not deriding or diminishing.
I hear what you're saying, Nick. You know, when I listen to the parents, I mean, actually, to be fair, they're by no means the most unreasonable, bigoted
people. They've
tried to talk about being compassionate and everything. Where I think they're wrong is that they think it's kind of optional that you can have a private space where kids can talk about gender, and then in school they need to conform. I think that's wrong. I think that I don't think we should ignore the views of people of faith. I think it's important to engage with them. But the problem is there are really serious consequences. Rachel mentioned mental health.
Where is the Christian faith that says that
trans teens, look, 48% of trans people under the age of 26 have attempted suicide. That is vastly more than people who are not trans, and 30% said they had in the last year. So this is a real mental health issue, because in the past they haven't been given the space to be honest about how they feel.
The dad says this is something we as Christians need to address with love and compassion. He's doing anything but turning his back on it.
But
Nick, I'm afraid
it's not for the primary.
Unless you show me in the scriptures where it says that girls have to be girls and boys have to be boys, I'm sorry, I am on the side of children who are trying to find their own identity.
It's a dress.
So what? It takes us back to the discussion we had last week about clothing, and whether actually you just have gender-neutral clothing, because that would solve the issue.
Oh no, I don't want that. I like dresses. I like to wear dresses.
Well, I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about you. I am talking about 6-year-olds. I don't think you qualify.
I don't think we should have. What I feel is that, as we said last week, I don't think we should be told children should be banned from wearing X or Y. I think there should be. I agree with gender-neutral clothing, but I don't think you should tell girls they can't wear skirts and boys they can't wear dresses.
They're going to get anywhere anyway. Suing. I don't think... What are they... They're not going to get anywhere.
No. I mean, but it's like we've had so many of these cases about whether you can wear religious symbols at work, and whether a Christian marriage counsellor has to marry a same-sex couple. You know, I think it's a bigger issue about what is the role of faith in modern public life. And I do think it is something that needs discussing. I'm not saying we should just shut people down. I think it's difficult because we are, as a society, moving towards a more fluid understanding of gender.
It is groupthink again, isn't it?
You know, we don't even have to look at other cultures. 100 years ago, they put little boys in dresses in this country. In fact, I'd be surprised if Jacob Rees-Mogg doesn't put his kids in swaddling gowns.
I don't think he'd put them in swaddling gowns.
Nanny would do it. You know, these things do change over time. That's nothing new. That's not some modern, loony, lefty groupthink, which I know exactly what you're thinking.